When Joshua asks God for the sun to stand still, what does he mean by that?
All right, let's see it.
Well, there's a lot of different interpretations. The most common one is that the sun literally stood still in the sky and gave them more daylight in order to carry out the slaughter and to defeat the Canaanites.
That's the most common interpretation because that is the only rational interpretation. Any other interpretation is just an attempt to take a physically impossible event and force it into the world of historical reality.
But where it says stand still, that word, the Hebrew word there, is literally most often translated be silent. And the idea is like stop functioning.
Well, kinda. You have to look at the context. If the context has to do with speech, then yes, it means to be silent. If the context has to do with motion, then it means to be still. So here's the entry for this verbal root in the Hebrew and Aramaic lexicon of the Old Testament, and you have other verses where it means to be still, to be motionless. For instance, 1 Samuel 14:9, where we have the people saying, we will stand still and we will stay in our place. So it's using our verbal root, damam, but also the verbal root amad, which means to stand. Both verbal roots are also used in reference to the sun in Joshua 10:12 through 13. And the thing that demonstrates this definitely means to stand still in the sky is the fact that the end of verse 13 says, and the sun stopped in mid-heaven, and that's that verb to stand, and did not hurry to set for about a whole day. The idea being the sun needed to stand still so the day could be lengthened, so the armies could continue to fight. This very clearly is about the sun standing still in the sky.
And when you go to Akkadian or Babylonian language, they use that same expression for an eclipse.
So this claim comes originally from a 1918 Princeton Theological Review article by Robert Wilson, where Wilson argues that the Akkadian verb da'amu, which means to be dark, should be in view in interpreting Joshua 10, 12, and 13, and the Hebrew root damam, which means to be silent, to be motionless, to stand still. But these verbs are not cognates. They mean different things, and they are spelled differently. The Akkadian verb has a glottal stop between the D and the M consonant. They are entirely different verbs. So most scholarship has not picked up that claim. But in 2017, two astrophysicists who back in the 80s claimed to be able to date Jesus' crucifixion based on a partial lunar eclipse that took place on April 3rd, 33 CE, argued in an article appearing in the magazine Astronomy and Geophysics that they can date this event to 1207 BCE by identifying this as an annular eclipse. And their article is about dating the reigns of the pharaohs, but they argue that this is what's going on in Joshua 10. However, the text very clearly has nothing to do with an eclipse. That is just an apologetic attempt, again, to force physically impossible events into historical reality.
And it's literally like, not just, it's like if you're saying sun stop, it could be motion where it's like stopping, but in this sense, it's stop functioning. And so when he says sun stand still, that's not the only command. He also says, oh, moon stand still in front of the sun.
The text does not indicate in any way, shape, or form whatsoever that the moon is anywhere near the sun.
And so Joshua's giving coordinates on where the moon needs to be in relation to the sun.
No, he's not.
Which suggests he's talking about an eclipse.
No, it doesn't. And the fit for this video has been Wolverine in his correct uniform.